Hello, hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. This is 31 days, 31 facts in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we have been giving you the facts for the last 13 days. This is day number 14, and I'm so excited that you are back with us learning, educating yourself, and moving from awareness towards action. Let me recognize my sponsor, which is Emmanuel Church of God in Christ with Pastor Michael Richardson, located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago. You can tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. in person, 10:20 a.m. on Facebook. Let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emmanuel Kojic at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emmanuel Kojic-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we are from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
This is day number 14, and our topic is things learned from chemo. Do me a favor, like this show, share this show, invite someone else in on the show that you feel may benefit from this valuable information. So let's talk about some things that I've learned from taking chemotherapy. And chemotherapy is one of the treatments that they use for cancer. If you have a cancer diagnosis, one of the things that they may talk to you about is doing chemotherapy. And I ended up doing 16 rounds or 16 infusions of chemotherapy. And chemotherapy, it helps to either stop or slow the growth of cancer in your body. So here we go. Number one, the thing that I learned from chemotherapy is that cancer, number one, is the great equalizer. When you are in that room getting ready to get chemo and you look around the room, no, you're not looking at people's money. You're not looking at their wealth. You're not looking at their race. You're not looking at their politics. You're not looking at if they came first in their graduating class, if they graduate with honors. You know, you're not looking at if they just got promoted, they just got married, they just brought a brand new Lamborghini. You're not looking at any of that, right? Because in that room, in that chemo room where everybody is getting ready to have chemo or in the process of getting chemo, Cancer is the great equalizer in that room. At that moment, we're all equal because we're all depending on this chemo to get these cancer cells out of our body. It's a quick way to bring you down to reality, like really quick. The second thing that I learned from chemo is that chemo is scary, but it gets better. And the reason why slit net keeps flying around, the reason why I say it gets better is because, the fear of the unknown is so real, right? And it's natural, it's human to be afraid of certain things, just we don't stay there, right? We don't stay in a fear state, right? Because we have faith, so we don't stay there. But all of the things that we've heard about chemo, the horror stories, the movies that we've seen, the television shows that we've seen about chemo, and the pictures that they have in the magazines or in the doctor's office, they all look so scary. And you like, am I gonna look this way? Right? So chemo can be scary. But go through chemo, once you're going through chemo, then that fear of the unknown kind of goes to the back of your mind, because now the anxiety that you have kind of quiets down, because now you know kind of what to expect, right? You kind of know, okay, I'm going to have certain side effects with this. The last session that I had with chemo, this is what happened. So you kind of like, okay, now I kind of know what happened. So, you're not as anxious. You don't, have, a lot of anxiety. So it gets the scariness of it gets less and less as you continue to go through treatment. Number 3, this is the things learned from chemotherapy, is that each chemotherapy treatment is different for everybody, right? So don't go comparing yourself, because we like to compare. Just know that each chemo experience is unique in itself, right? So you may get chemotherapy and the doctor may say you only need 5 rounds of chemotherapy. Somebody else may need 10, somebody else may need 16, somebody else may need 20, because your chemotherapy, your treatment is catered towards you, your body, your health issues, things that you have going on, and the ultimate goal that the doctor is trying to get to. So don't compare yourself because someone may get 5 chemotherapies and you're getting 10, because in that 5 chemotherapy, it may be double the dose that they're giving them. Yours may be spread it out and it may be little doses so that they're manageable. But that person, it may be urgent for them to get a higher dose or kind of like a double dose of chemo so that they can, attack the cancer faster. So know that each chemotherapy experience is different and you should not be comparing yourself to anyone else. It's okay to listen to the stories, but know that you are going to experience something totally, totally different. The fourth thing that I learned about chemo is that the effects of chemo are cumulative. So each cycle gets worse, right? So a lot of people, they may start you off slow with the chemo. My first chemo I took, like, I was actually sitting there in the chair, just like waiting for something to happen. I'm waiting on, something to happen in my body that I can pinpoint and say, aha, that is the result of chemo, right? And so for that first one, I didn't feel anything. I went home and I was just like, okay, this little net is flying, it's getting on my nerve. So I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm just waiting. So I didn't feel anything for the first one. When I went home, I went home and I was like, okay, I'm still able to do the things that I normally would do. So I took advantage of me having, strength, the willpower to do the things that I needed to do. And, until it was time for me to go back. So each one kind of builds up on each other, right? So you may not get all of the side effects all at one time. You may be, nauseated one day, the next day you may have diarrhea, the next day you may be constipated, the next session you may be constipated. It may be different things. Again, everybody experience is different. So you My experience, I was constipated all the time. So somebody experience may be totally different. Somebody may be throwing up all the time. I've never threw up, never had diarrhea, but I was constipated with it. So, and the doctor tried to give me some stuff to help with the constipation. I'm like, no, I'm already taking enough. Just let it dissolve itself. Let it do what it's gonna do. So just know that it's cumulative. So it's not going to hit you all at once. Like I was sitting there expecting something to happen. Not everybody is going to experience hair loss. That's what I learned through chemo. I did lose my hair, right? Some people hair may thin out, it may get thin, but they may not lose it all. I lost all my hair. I would say maybe around my third chemo, my third infusion, is when my hair started to, I noticed it was, starting to come out. So what did I do? I said, I'm getting ahead of this. Call my girlfriend. I said, hey, I need you to cut my hair. And it took me a couple of weeks to get over there for her to cut it because she didn't want to do it. This was emotional for her as it was for me. And it's like, I gotta cut, my best friend's hair. We've been friends since, we were in high school. And it's like, we're in our 40s and I'm asking her to cut my hair off because of cancer. Like the effect on her was like really, it was tremendous. So she did it and we made light of it and it was a great experience. I wouldn't want it to experience that or have anybody else cut my hair, than her. So not everybody's going to experience hair loss. And guess what? Hair grows back. You see all this? And I was completely bald. And look at my hair. And the one thing I love about my hair is that I was a relaxer queen. I was like, I would never go without a relax. I would never wear natural hair. I don't see how people wear natural hair. That's just not me. Well, I'm saying right now, I would never get a relaxer again. I love, love, love my natural hair. I love my curly locks. I love how my hair is just it's straight, it's long, it's a thin grade of hair, but it's a nice grade of hair. I get a lot of compliments on my hair, and I always say, oh, this is my chemo hair, because when my hair started growing back with chemo, it started growing back in really big locks, right? Locks, really big curls. So I love it. I love my hair, and I just thank God that, he just showed himself mighty as I was going through chemo, because I'm telling you, God shielded me so much as when I was going through chemo. He, and I asked him, I said, God, I need you to preserve. I need you not only to heal me, but I need you to preserve me so I don't look like what I've been through. I need you to restore me. And my God has been so awesome. To this day, he's still doing it. And I'm just grateful. So if you were recently diagnosed with cancer and you have to do chemo, know that you have an all-powerful God who can do anything. And you just ask him to carry you through it. And he will carry you through it. I'm a witness. So another thing I learned from chemo is that hair loss occurs everywhere. your eyelashes, right? Your eyebrows, your nose hair, everywhere on your body there's no hair, which can be a problem with no nose hair, because the nose hair is there to protect things from going in your nose, and without the nose hair your nose can be dry a lot. It could cause nosebleeds. So you are not going to have any hair anywhere. So if you're one of those people that are really hairy and you always shaving, so this may be like a dream for you. But I had to draw my eyebrows in. I think I drew my eyebrows in the whole time, which I've got. It caused me to get good at drawing my eyebrows in. So, it was like, wow. They have a class for individuals who are going through cancer, because they know that you're going to have to, go drawing your eyebrows in. For women, that's what we do. Men may not do it, but for women, we draw our eyebrows in when we're going through chemo. Some of us do. Some people just wing it and be like, hey, this is just me right now. I decided to draw my eyebrows in when I was going through. So they had a class that, cancer people who was going through cancer could take, and they teach you how to do your makeup, while you're going through cancer. And all of the makeup that you got, you kept it. They gave us all of the stuff that we use. So we had like a good jump start on, okay, this is how you draw in your eyebrows. Okay, so you don't have eyelashes. This is how you do your makeup to make it look like you have eyelashes. And I'm telling you, I did all of that. And I was one of those people who didn't want to go plain faced or walk around, just parading my bald head. That wasn't me, right? I would do it at home, but I wouldn't do it out. I may have done it when my hair was really short and started growing back, really, really short to where it was sticking on my head, but not an actual bald head. And that was just my preference, right? So another thing that I learned about chemo, and I'm going to kill this net, was the effects that it had on the nails, right? So as a mom, I'm doing hair, I'm cleaning up, I'm washing dishes, I'm doing all of that. Well, with the chemo, my nails, they were kind of raised, right? So with the chemo, my nails were kind of raised, and it was like an infection, and you could see the pus. They turned dark, and some of them you may lose. They grew back though. They got really loose. And if you're doing stuff and washing dishes and cleaning, you could cause the nail to come off. So I had to wear gloves, the real thick gloves when I was cleaning at home, when I was doing stuff. And I couldn't do my girls' hair, so I would get somebody else to do their hair because I couldn't do it. So I would maybe get it braided and leave it braided for a while because there was something I couldn't do, right? Couldn't even do my own hair. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to kill that net. So, your nails may be affected. They're going to turn dark. They may turn dark, but just know you could put fingernail polish. So I kept fingernail polish on my nails the whole time, just so I wouldn't have to answer questions about what's wrong with your nails? Why are your nails so dark? What's going on with your nails? So I would wear fingernail polish on them all the time. I wouldn't go and get my nails done, but I would polish them myself. And that was just one way for me to pamper myself or whatever, right? So, I mean, you could go and get them done and just tell them to polish it, but I wouldn't put the acrylics or anything on your nails, especially when they're weak, they're brittle, and you may lose them. The same thing with your toenails. It's going to affect the toenails as well. So the eighth thing that I learned about chemo was neuropathy is a common side effect. And neuropathy can be numbness and tingling in your hands or your feet. Normally, by me being an active person, I normally don't get neuropathy a lot. Not a lot, but it does happen when I'm laying down. Like if I'm in the bed and I'm just like laying in the bed, maybe doing stuff, then it'll tend to happen. If I'm driving for a long period of time, right, especially with the foot that I'm driving with, sometimes I get neuropathy then. And neuropathy is kind of like it's kind of like a cramps it up till you can't move it, right? You just got to wait for it to pass. You just got to sit there and wait for it to pass. There's really nothing you could do. I'm sure they have some type of medicine or something that you can take, but I'm not putting nothing else in my body after the chemo. No, I'm just gonna let it pass and just exercise and be active and pray that God, either take it away or allow me to be able to deal with it to where it's not debilitating in my everyday life. So neuropathy is something that you may experience as a result of chemotherapy. All right, so we're on number 9, you guys. I know it's Friday night, so I'm not going to keep you guys out here late. So number 9 is taste buds. Well, if I spell taste right, it would be nice, right? Your taste buds will change. They will change, right? So things for me taste like cardboard. I had to find something that I could eat and I kind of like could taste it and it felt good. So for me, it was the grilled chicken on a pita. And for some reason, I was able to eat that and taste it for some reason. I don't know why. So I would go to the restaurant and maybe get like 2 or 3 of them. So I would eat one for breakfast, I would eat one for lunch, and then I would have one for dinner. So those really helped me get through. Peanut butter helped me get through. everything really tastes like cardboard. One day I was out at this African fest with my sister, and I had some jerk chicken, and I'm thinking, oh, the jerk chicken, I should be able to taste this jerk chicken, and it should taste good. When I tell you that my mouth, oh Jesus, no, don't do that no more. That was a big mistake to do that. I regret doing that. But your taste buds will change, and I'm gonna throw this in there because I didn't put it on the list. So this is like number 9A. You're going to get sores in your mouth. I had like white patches all in my mouth. My mouth was sore. At the time when I ate that jerk chicken, it felt like I had holes in my mouth. Everywhere there was a sore, it felt like I had holes in my mouth. Oh, it was such a bad experience until it wore off. So you're going to have sores in your mouth. Just be careful what you eat, what you put in your mouth. If you don't have a taste for anything and everything tastes disgusting, nasty like cardboard, find one thing that you can eat, or grind all of your stuff up into a shake, all your veggies, all your fruit into a shake, and get your nutrition that way. You have to find a way to get your nutrition, or you're going to drop the weight. The weight is going to just fall off, and you need a little cushion while you're going through, you just need it. So I talked to a nutritionist, and I said, hey, how can I get my vitamins? And, I was asking her about taking vitamin supplements, and she said, you can get it from your food. You don't need to take vitamins when you're eating the right things. So find out what it is that you're lacking in, and then compensating, eat those things and get that nutrition through your food, which I thought was awesome because I didn't want to take a supplement anyway. I want to be able to get it from my food, and my body is not lacking. I don't have a deficiency in anything to where I have to, compensate for it. Thank God for that. So your taste buds will change, but just know that it's temporary, and it will come back. Some people doing chemo may experience being nauseated, but they normally give you, before the chemo, they'll give you a set of medication that you take so that you won't have an allergic reaction to the chemo. And also so that if you get nauseated, they'll give you medicine in advance to, get ahead of that. So some people may experience it. Thank God I did not experience being nauseated at all through my whole 16 rounds of chemo that I did from February, I think the second week in February to June 27 of 2014, which was a day before my birthday. So some people may experience it, some people may not. Again, no two chemo experiences are alike. So you may not have that experience to where you feeling nauseous or nauseated. I did not have that experience, and I thank God that I didn't. Again, when I first took my first chemo, I thought all of that was going to happen. I was sitting like a sitting duck waiting on it to happen, but it didn't happen. Number 11. The thing that I learned about chemo is you are going to have chemo brain that is going to last while you're in treatment and beyond, but it's temporary too. So I can remember having conversations with somebody in the middle of the conversation, just forgetting what I was talking about. And I'm just like, oh my God. And at the time I was doing the show. This was when I first started the show. So I would make sure I wrote everything down, just because I didn't want to, look crazy and be talking and then lose my train of thought. And people like, what's wrong with her? So chemo brain is real. Chemo fog is real. You may experience it. You may not experience it. I did. That was one of the side effects of chemo. And I experienced chemo brain. Chemo brain is real. It is real. But I feel like if you're active, right? If you're active, you're reading, you're learning, you're using your brain for stuff, the more exercise your brain has, I feel like it minimizes the chemo brain. But just know that that is one of the side effects that you may or may not experience. Oh my God. So I learned that doing chemo, you are going to be fatigued. I didn't experience the fatigue maybe for the first 3 or 4 it just, again, it's accumulative. So it kind of crept up on me to where my body, it's a tiredness that you cannot sleep off. You can't sleep this tiredness off. I don't care how long you sleep, you cannot sleep this fatigue, chemo tiredness off. And but you still get the normal rest that your body needs, right? You just have to push through the fatigue. I had to push through the fatigue. If you got to get up a little early, if you know you're going to be slow, get up a little early, get your stuff ready at night, have everything ready, because you're going to feel fatigue. It's just common. During my chemo journey, what really helped me get through, other than like my support system and my church family and, my relationship with God, was that I love to dance. And dancing for me was a therapy. So I would go dancing to house music and I would dance by myself. My girlfriend would go with me a lot, and we would, just dance. She in her corner, I'm in my corner, and I would dance. And I would, in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm letting out all of the stress and the frustration about this cancer journey, about this chemo. And there were a couple of times where, my tears flow as I was on the dance floor, just letting it out. But it was therapeutic for me. And I did it every Friday. So I had chemo every Friday from 9 to 1. And then I would leave chemo, me and my mom or whoever went with me, whatever support team went with me. We used to call ourselves the Terminators. So whoever went with me, whatever Terminator team member went with me, we would either go eat after that or go to the mall. And then I would go pick the kids up from school. I would go home, help them with their homework, feed them, and then I would go dancing. And it helped me. I come back, my legs would be swollen, everything. But you know what? I I got that out of my system, and it helped me so much. So find whatever helps you. For everybody is different. And that was my last one. For everybody is different, right? You're going to learn some different things when it comes to chemo. I learned that my body was tolerance of it, right? I was able to tolerate the chemo with minimum effects on my body. And I really, truly owe it to God, because I feel like God shielded me from a lot of things as I was going through chemo. And I hear the horror stories from other people, and I'm like, girl, I didn't experience that. Like, no, I didn't experience that. And I'm just like, thank you, Lord, because that was one of the things, again, that I asked him to do, was to preserve me, and at the same time, you know don't let me look like what I'm going through. Like, I didn't want to look like what I was going through. So he shielded me from a lot of things, and he gave me the strength and the courage to go through a lot of things. I had to do what they call the red devil, which is, oh God, it's just like it sounds. And it's a big needle with it's a big syringe with a long needle, and the color in the syringe is red. And when the nurse administered it to you, she's sitting there the whole time. The whole time she's sitting there watching you get the red devil, because she's waiting to see what side effects happen so they can jump on the side effects right away. What side effects did I have? So, oh no, no problem. The side effects I had from getting chemo was, of course, I lost my hair, my nails turning dark, getting weak, getting brittle. My toenails did the same thing. Of course, I lost weight. I lost my taste in my mouth. I had sores in my mouth. I ended up getting neuropathy, to where, it's almost like it's debilitating, to where your hands or your feet kind of like just freeze up on you, and you just have to wait for it to pass. I ended up getting chemo brain, just having conversations and then losing my train of thought, like what just happened. you know um it was so many things that I feel like God really shielded me from as I was going through it. A lot of things he really did. What else did I have? Fatigue is one. I wasn't nauseated at all through this process. I was really constipated, really bad, really constipated. Never threw up, no diarrhea. But I was fatigued through the chemo. Your body is just you can't sleep off this tiredness that you have. But I would say I had maybe one episode to where, the fatigue just took me over, and I just couldn't function that day. And I just crawled back in the bed, and I just laid there until it kind of passed. So that was the day that I was trying to take my babies to school, and I got in the truck and I couldn't even turn the key. You would think, okay, you got to the truck, you could turn the key. I was like, oh God, I can't even turn the key. And I had to muster up enough strength to get back in go back in the house and get in the bed. And I had to tell my kids, I can't take you out of school today. And they, at the time, my two little ones didn't know. My three little ones didn't know. I'm sorry, didn't know that I had cancer. My two oldest kids knew, but the three little ones didn't. So they didn't understand why mommy can't take us to school, what's going on. And so my girlfriend gave me this book that explains cancer, what the person is going through in a child's language. So I was hiding the book, waiting for the time that I was going to have a conversation with them. So I looked at my oldest daughter and I said, it's time to have the conversation. Can you read them the book? And as she was getting ready to read them the book, I went back in the house and got in the bed and laid down. And then once she was done talking to them and read them the book, they ran in and they started giving me hugs and kisses like, Mama, we're so sorry. Mama, we didn't know you were sick. And then they wanted to see my hair because I was hiding my bald head from them. So then I showed them my hair, which it was growing back a little bit. And we took like a ruler and we was measuring it. And I said, we're going to measure mommy's hair every week so you can see my hair growing. As you can see, my hair, I lost all my hair and it's here. So yeah, it was, the fatigue is nothing nice. And sometimes the fatigue lasts, even though you're not in chemo. I think they say it takes about a year for like the chemo to really get out of your body and for your body to be the same. They give you steroids too. So the steroids kind of like blew me up. I got like to like 175 pounds. And normally my normal weight is like maybe like 158. And that was a heavy weight for me. And I was like, trying to fight to get the weight off. So that was another side effect, is when you're in treatment, sometimes the medicine that they give you makes you gain weight versus losing weight. So I hope that, you were able to learn something tonight about the things that I learned from chemo. Know that chemo can be a very scary thing. It can be, because you don't know the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen, because again, everybody's body is different. So what works for that person may not work for you. Whatever side effects they have, you may not have those side effects. Your body may be totally different, because everybody may be in totally different shape. So your body may be ready. You may have been a person that exercised, ate right, and so your body is in fighting condition to where you can fight and you can stand the chemo. Versus you might have somebody else, they may have type 2 diabetes, they may be fighting high blood pressure and stuff. So they got other things going on that they're trying to fight along with. Now I got to have this toxin in my body, So it could be very stressful. It could be very overwhelming, but as God is my witness, to God be the glory, you can get through it. I was able to get through it. My sister, at the age of 52, the age that I am now, she had one chemo appointment and she ended up passing, not from the chemo, but she took the one chemo appointment, and then they gave her scans and they found that the cancer had already spread. So she only had a chance to have the one chemo appointment that I was able to take her to and witness the one chemo appointment 3 years prior to my diagnosis. So God was like setting me up, like, okay. And I'm not knowing that, he was giving me a window, a peek at me sitting in that chemo chair 3 years later. So when I had to sit in the chemo chair, that fear was, it wasn't so heightened that, oh my God, what's going to happen? Because I did get to see it in action. So chemotherapy they always say you don't die from the cancer, you die from the cancer treatment, like the side effects and stuff from the treatment that you take. So you have to be really on top of your health, and you got to communicate with your doctor and say, hey, why did you pick this particular chemotherapy? How do you know that this chemotherapy is going to work for me and my cancer? What is the success rate of the cancer, that it has helped other people? Like, you have to ask those questions because this is new to you. So don't feel bad. I had 16 rounds of chemo. I was in chemotherapy from the second week in February all the way up until the last week in June in 2014. And then they gave me a break, a month break, I think. And then I had surgery in August. And then I had a month break. And then I had 33 rounds of radiation after that. So just the whole 2014, I was in treatment. I think I finished radiation the week of Thanksgiving. So it's a lot on your body. It's a lot on your body, but you can get through it. You can get through it. Chemotherapy has saved a lot of people's lives. And before I had cancer, the thought of chemotherapy, I'm like, oh no, no, absolutely not. Chemotherapy is a killer. That's what's killing these people. But then when I had to sit in that chair to get it in order to, stop my cancer or slow the growth of the cancer, it's just like, what do you do? What do you do? You have to trust in the all-powerful God that even though I have to sit here and put these toxins in my body, that at the end of the day, he's going to get the glory out of it. It's going to glorify him in some type of way. And that's what I decided to do. And that's why I sit here and try to educate people on cancer. I didn't know about it. I had no idea about cancer because it wasn't, prevalent in my family. Nobody in my family was getting cancer until my sister was diagnosed in 2010. So then when she was diagnosed, it was just like, oh, wow. And honestly, I felt like my family they wasn't like, oh my gosh, she got cancer, we need to worry about getting cancer. No, it was just like, she got cancer. Maybe that's an isolated incident because she had diabetes, she had high blood pressure. So, they were probably thinking like I was thinking maybe that caused the cancer. Like, and we all thought she was maybe going to pass from diabetes because, she had type 1 diabetes, and it was kind of poorly managed, but she was hanging on there. She was hanging in there, and that wasn't what took her out. The cancer took her out. So once she was diagnosed in 2010, then I was diagnosed in 2013, then my father was diagnosed in 2016 with lung cancer. Now, keep in mind, he was a smoker since he was about maybe 15, and he died at the age of 71. So he has been a smoker like all that time. So, yeah. So it could be a frightening thing, but it's so many survivors that have gotten through it. And so you could get through it too. Just communicate with your doctor, especially if you're young and you want to have kids, because that may be a conversation that they may not have with you. So you have to talk to them and say, hey, the chemotherapy that you're giving me, I don't have any kids. I'm in that childbearing age. I would like to have a child. Can you give me chemo that's not going to take away my options to have a child? Because sometimes people get thrown into menopause too. Like, so many things happen, as a result of chemotherapy. So I hope that you learned something today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be here tomorrow at 8. We're doing the 31 facts in 31 days in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'll be back tomorrow for day 15. And if you have any questions or anything, you can always put them in the comments, or you can inbox me. And I'm pretty much an open book when it comes to my journey. So thank you for tuning in. This is author and founder Lady ReShell. And at Warriors Talk, we are changing lives one warrior at a time. I'm going to encourage you to go over to Eventbrite and type in Survivors Night of Reflection Gala, because we're having our 6th annual Survivors Night of Reflection, where we are celebrating all survivors. If you are a survivor of cancer, this event is where we're going to celebrate survivors. Survivors are free. You don't have to pay anything. I just need you to register. So you will go to Eventbrite, type in Survivors Night of Reflection Gala. If you're not a survivor, then the cost is $40, and that's to kind of, cover the cost of the survivors being free. You could also donate. If you're not able to go, you can donate, right? You can sponsor. We do have opportunities for sponsorship, and also vendors if you want to come and highlight some of your product or merchandise. So we're going to be celebrating survivors. We're going to award a warrior in battle with some money that night, somebody who's having financial difficulties as they're going through this battle. We're going to have a Survivor of the Year, a community service Survivor of the Year. We're going to give a caregiver an award, because a lot of times the people who are taking care of the individuals with cancer, they don't get awarded. Nobody ever says anything to these people. So, it's a thankless job. So we're going to recognize a caregiver on that night. We're going to be located at the Crystal Sky Banquets at 7941 West 47th Street in McCook, which is not that far from Chicago. So you guys come out, celebrate. I am excited that this is number 6. Number 6, I'm so excited. And number 7 for Warriors Talk organization as a whole. We are 501c3. So whatever you donate, you can, on your taxes, you already know what to do. So, all right, you guys. So join me tomorrow at 8, and we're going to be doing 31 days, 31 facts in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Again, this is author and founder Lady ReShell, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.